From the media missionaries of Network 7 Media Center and the Northern Zambia Union, this is Mission Sonlight. The Republic of Zambia, part of the Southern Africa Indian Ocean Division, is governed by President Hakainde Hichilema, a Seventh-day Adventist politician. Zambia's population is home to 1 in 14 Seventh-day Adventist members, while the number 1 in 6 has been suggested when we include attending children. Here in the Luapula Conference of Northern Zambia, the work for Jesus is thriving.
Evangelism in Luapula is the heartbeat of the conference. Every time we go on evangelism, a lot of people come to Jesus. And our numbers in Luapula, as it stands today, it is going up 92,000.
Today's story takes us across the beautiful marshy rivers and the picturesque wide-open grasslands within this territory to the city of Zambia. Zambia is home to nearly 200,000 and is bordered by one of Zambia's Great Lakes, Lake Bangweulu. On this lake, there are 3 large and prominent islands with a population of nearly 115,000, as well as small villages dotted around its lakeshore and adjoining swampland. Transportation to the island from Zambia is limited to 2 options. One can find 3 to 4 government one-way ferries each day, carrying just 25 to 50 passengers. This 2-hour trip means less than 200 people are able to move from the main shore to the islands or back each day on the ferry. The more common option is hand-paddled boats, where it can take 7 to 9 hours to reach the islands, also just one way, and an occasional small motorboat that might reduce the time to 3 hours. Normal seating on these hand-powered ferries might be 10 to 15 people, but are often dangerously overloaded as frustrated travelers take their chances and greedy operators take their money. This passage can become even more treacherous when the Great Lake becomes like an angry sea. The wind may raise the waves to more than a meter high, and 3 to 4 foot waves threaten and sometimes capsize the small overloaded passenger boats. Within this challenge, members are finding opportunities to share the story of Jesus.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church here in Northern Zambia has a dream, actually a soon-coming reality, for a 13th Sabbath project like you've never heard before. A center of influence that floats.
We don't often hear of projects that meet physical, spiritual, and emotional needs, and in such a community-encompassing manner. However, tragedy has met a felt need, and the church is answering the call.
Quite a number of local people have lost their lives on the lake. The church needed to do something, and that something needed to be done urgently.
In 2022, the loss of life struck close to home on these waters. Adventist young adult missionary volunteers were traveling across the lakes and islands to share with other youth about the ministry of youth camp. While they rode through rough waters and windy waves, the overloaded boat capsized.
And I remember I was a youth director in 2022, 2023. We lost our youths, 14 of them who lost their lives in the same lake as they were trying to cross the river from Chilubi Island going to Chishi Island, where they were going to promote a program, a youth camp that we had.
Members and church leaders prayerfully felt that responding to the loss of life was paramount. They understood the great need for safer transport on the lake system for their members, their pastors, and the general public. They also knew that aside from the government ferry traveling one way per day, there remains a need for efficient daily round-trip transport. Their response was a big idea through the eyes of these leaders to develop a strategic plan that would first purchase a new boat, perhaps to be called the Morning Star 2, a 50-plus passenger boat which would transport pastors and volunteers across the Zambian Great Lakes to the islands and villages dotted across this territory. Then to equip this Morning Star's excess space for public transport with paying ferry passengers and cargo from these docks, which could be reconstructed for a safe harbor landing at the small local port. This would allow the church the income stream to support the maintenance of the boat and promote potential growth of their ferry services. Finally, as a center of influence that floats, the boat's full-time ministry leaders would schedule inspirational singers and speakers to preach the gospel while offering Bible studies to the captive audience of passengers during the 2+ hour ferry ride. Thus, a center of influence that floats and meets 3 needs at once.
At the end of the day, the idea was to have a safest mode of transport on the lake. So really, with the coming in of the boat, what we are seeing now is a situation where we have a readily available transport for our pastors.
The boat will now serve as a bridge over these waters, enabling our pastors, our Bible workers, and other missionary-oriented people or teams to be able to reach these unreached people, preach the word, plant churches, and offer life-saving services.
Church leaders strategize to create a ministry income stream to include not only passenger transport and evangelism, but also fees for cargo and tourism. The boat's purchase, initially supported by this quarter's 13th Sabbath funds and other local funding, can be sustained through its own revenue stream.
At full capacity, the boat will have maybe 50-55 people on board, and of course, to have quite a number of chambers, maybe where we'll put now cargo, and this cargo, like I mentioned, will vary. Fish products, there will be, agricultural products in there. Of course, there will be others that would just want to have a joy of being on the lake. Yeah, we can't run away from the aspect of tourism of it. There will be people that would want to visit these islands, and this will be the safest mode of transport.
The transport fares, we can get an income or revenue which will be able to sustain the boat's operation.
The maintenance and the sustainability of this has been planned so that we have people that are responsible, people that take care of this asset on behalf of the church.
It's an unusual idea for kingdom influence, a very unique approach to evangelism. A transport boat that provides safe passage for ministry participants and paying passengers, which also shares the truth as it is in Jesus.
We envision that this boat will also be used as a model of evangelism. The type of maybe music that will be played in there. We have some evangelists, some pastors who probably every trip there's something that is preached in there about.
This 13th Sabbath, there is an opportunity to save lives, both here on earth and present eternal life in heaven. What will you choose for your gift this 13th Sabbath? The members of Luapula Conference are singing their song in faith that you will join them.
Your support, your offerings will indeed help Luapula Zambia Conference reach out to many.
It will be a blessing to receive from the World Church this gift of the project for the boat, so that it may help mission and help the people that are in the 3 islands, and also just the mission here in Luapula Zambia Conference on the Bangweulu waters.
Those who be giving us and contribute to this gift, I say, may the good Lord add value to your blessings.
From the shores of Lake Bangweulu and the Luapula Conference in the Southern Africa Indian Ocean Division of Seventh-day Adventist, this is Mission Sonlight.